Over the past few years, there's been a lot of innovation in the camera tech space, and every brand tries to uniquely position themselves based on their novel and interesting features to set themselves apart. Today, we're going to look at Insta360's latest take on what an action camera should be capable of. This is the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, an action camera with a 1/1.3-inch 8K sensor, featuring a Leica Sumira f2.6 lens with a 2.5-inch flip-up touchscreen, an integrated dual AI chip for image processing, and some of the best low-light performance I've seen in an action camera. I want to disclose here that Insta360 is sponsoring this video, and while that might make me partially biased, I'm still giving you my honest opinion on this camera and also what I'm able to get out of it. And of course, I only accept brand and product sponsorships when it's a product that I can actually see myself using and I find interesting. Now, with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump in to see what this 8K action camera is capable of.
Take the rest of it, yeah. Because I want to try one now. Now I'm curious what I'm missing out on.
Here's a quick little unboxing. Inside the package, you're going to get a USB-C to USB-C cable to charge and connect the Ace Pro 2, an optional mic guard if you're planning to shoot in rain or water sports, a secure magnetic 2-prong mount, an extra 1800 mAh battery for the camera, and the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 itself with a battery in there ready to go. Alright, enough of that, let's go ahead and jump into the interesting part. Image quality. I think the most impressive part about the Ace Pro 2 is the 1/1.3-inch sensor, which is larger than the GoPro Hero 13's 1/1.9-inch sensor and matches that of the DJI Osmo Action 5's 1/1.3-inch sensor, which dramatically improves its low-light capability. More on that later. On top of that, I think the most eye-catching feature of the Ace Pro 2 is of course its ability to shoot in 8K. Honestly, the 8K footage looks really good. Specifically, it looks really sharp, and to me, it just looks like there's so much more detail captured compared to 4K. But I think for casual everyday shooting, the 4K 30 FPS mode is really the sweet spot, giving you a great balance on battery life while still capturing great looking footage. This past weekend, Annette and I took a trip up to Washington, D.C. for a little anniversary trip and to meet up and hang out with Say and Vu to shoot some content, and I ended up using the Ace Pro 2 the entire time to capture a bunch on the trip. There's also a dual AI chip for the image processing, and I imagine that's what's driving their active HDR mode, which lets you capture a lot more of the highlights and shadows. We suction cupped the Ace Pro 2 onto Say's car, and I was really happy with how the footage came out, considering it was a bright and sunny day, but the highlights didn't look blown out and the shadows still retained their details. There's also built-in color profiles like standard, vivid, Leica natural, Leica vivid, portrait, film, vintage, urban, and night. This is especially nice if you're somebody who just wants an action camera to take with you on trips and to capture memories with. You also have the option of shooting in iLog, which is Insta360's log picture profile, to give you more room in post-production to push the colors, contrast, and saturation based on the project you're shooting. And out of all the footage I shot with the Ace Pro 2, I think this is where you can squeeze the best image quality out of the camera. Now, let's talk about audio quality. Right now, you're listening to the internal microphone on the Ace Pro 2 with wind reduction turned on. If you really want great audio, you're gonna want to use an external audio solution, right? Like a wireless lav system or a shotgun mic. But if you're buying an action camera, you're probably just wanting to take it with you on vacations or for snowboarding, and you're not trying to have a huge setup. And for me, I use it for BTS and vlogging. And for that, I just need an internal microphone that sounds good enough so that the audio is usable. And when I listened to the audio coming out of this camera, I was pretty happy with it. But let me know in the comment section down below on what you think about it. Insta360 also has a mic adapter accessory that lets you plug in an external microphone with either a 3.5mm jack or through a USB-C port. Next up is stabilization, and since this is an action camera, I'd expect the stabilization coming from this camera to be exceptional, and it did not disappoint. There are 3 stabilization modes you can choose from: off, normal, and high. Normal is the mode you'd probably want to throw it in most of the time, and off the bat, it already looks rock steady. Like from this footage where Annette and I are on scooters going over bumps in the road and the sidewalk, and you can barely tell. To test the high mode, I was sprinting over an uneven trail and it straight up looked like a drone flying through the air. And honestly, I think you can push this even farther since the intended use for this setting is really for like bumpy rides like mountain biking. This is something that Insta360 has actually done really well over the years with their flow state stabilization technology. Since the Ace Pro 2 has a 1/1.3 inch sensor, I was excited to test and see how well the camera would do in low light conditions. On the Ace Pro 2, there's a specific mode called Pure Video, which is a 4K shooting mode that is optimized for shooting in low light scenes. And another thing that's a key characteristic of action cameras is its ability to capture a really wide field of view. With the Ace Pro 2, you're getting a maximum of 157-degree field of view, which is technically the widest field of view when compared to the GoPro Hero 13 and the Osmo Action 5, but I mean, not by much, but still. And since it has a really wide field of view, it makes it perfect for doing action camera things like capturing sports or using it as a POV camera. If you're interested in shooting slow motion content, the Ace Pro 2 can shoot in 4K at up to 120 frames per second. Not only can it do 120 frames per second, but it looks really good too, making it perfect for shooting high-speed action. The Ace Pro 2 is also waterproof up to 39 feet. Right out of the box, just make sure that the battery cover and the USB cover are closed securely. And if you want to shoot something like diving content and go deeper, then you can also add the diving case to make it waterproof up to 196 feet. Battery life on this camera is also pretty good. On the DC trip, I basically had the camera on at all times and, capturing clips here and there, and I was able to get like 4 hours of runtime before I needed to change the battery. To really test how long I can record for though, I let the Ace Pro 2 record at 4K 30 frames per second starting with 100% battery life, and I was able to get an hour and 59 minutes of runtime before the battery died. And obviously, if you're gonna be recording in 8K, battery life is gonna be impacted by that. But that also got me wondering, can this camera overheat? So to test this, I started to record on the Ace Pro 2 in 8K 30 and stuck it in a microwave. Don't worry, I didn't turn it on. And it got to 27 minutes before overheating. Now, obviously results will depend heavily on a bunch of factors like the ambient temperature, if there's wind cooling it down, like if you were biking, but here's one data point in case you were curious. Now, let's talk about the build quality. Overall, the camera feels well built with a plastic composite housing. On the front of the camera, you'll find a small screen that shows your recording status and helpful information when you're in front of the camera. You'll also find that the lens guard on the Ace Pro 2 is now removable by twisting it off, making it a lot less stressful in case you scratch or damage it. And there's a microphone windscreen that can be removed if you want to put the mic cover on. On the top of the unit, you'll find the record button. On one side of the camera, you'll find the power button as well as the USB-C port and micro SD card slot. On the other side, you'll find the battery compartment. And on the bottom, you'll find the mounting points for attaching the magnetic 2-prong mount, which then lets you mount the Ace Pro 2 to other accessories. Personally, I've been loving these magnetic mounting points because they also act as a quick detach point if you want to switch between multiple accessories. Then on the back, you'll find the flip-up 2.5-inch touchscreen. If you want to flip it forwards, you just press in the 2 locking mechanisms on the sides and pull out the screen, and when you're done, you can just click it back into place. On the 2.5-inch touchscreen, you'll find that the controls are pretty intuitive and similar to other touchscreen-enabled products you'd find these days. Swiping from the edges will give you access to settings, camera controls, resolution and frame rates, and your local media. And if you drag across the center of the screen, you can cycle through all of the different shooting modes like photo, video, pure video, free frame video, time shift, time lapse, dash cam, loop recording, slow motion, star lapse, burst photo, and interval. We're not going to go through every single one of these shooting modes, but I like the fact that they're all in there because depending on what you want to do with this camera, it's easily accessible and it's right there. Overall, and this is just one guy's opinion, but I was really pleasantly surprised with the Ace Pro 2. Coming into this, I really just had 2 expectations. One is whether or not it can record good looking footage, and it does. And 2 is how frictionless is the experience of using this camera. And from shooting to editing, it was as easy as it gets. There are other features as well, like being able to pre-record the 120 seconds prior to hitting the record button, being able to easily monitor your live camera view from the Insta360 app, and I love the fact that you can even edit your videos right in the Insta360 app for those who aren't familiar with video editing software. There's a lot to like about this camera, and it just launched today, so if you're interested in learning more about it, I'll leave links in the description down below. Alright, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know in the comment section down below on what you guys think of the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Peace.